What is up, you beautiful people? Welcome back. As always, I feel like the episodes always have something, crazy happening in them, and today is no different, my guys. In an earlier comic that was released in 2015, we see Yoda training a youngling that would go on to become famous later on, and you'll see who it is in a minute. But this youngling was so severely injured under Yoda's supervision that he suffered a concussion and bled out of the back of his head. Luckily nobody found out about this incident because Yoda at the time was probably on death sticks. It's become a bit of a meme, but here is your guys' favorite death stick Yoda. This one is by far one of the most popular t-shirts on the shop that we've released. To buy this one and support the channel, simply check the link to the shop down in the description. Now, this little guy is none other than Caleb Doom, aka CANON. As he was meditating, young Caleb Doom ignites his training saber inside the Jedi Temple. In fact, Yoda was the one who was instructing him. He was one day away from his initiate trials. Yoda went on to tell Caleb to maintain his form. He must do so. "I will try, Master Yoda," said Caleb, but Yoda responded as he always did.
"Do or do not. There is no try."
A curious and innocent Caleb Doom, he was trying to understand what was Master Yoda trying to say with that, but one of his fellow younglings rushed toward Caleb and tried to hit him with her training saber. Caleb fortunately blocked in time. "Tai," he said, "he wasn't ready, but will the Separatists wait for you to be ready when they strike?" Well, they might, but not Samo Quid, as Quid rushed towards both of them, hitting Tai with the lightsaber, but in the process, Caleb was pushed out of the way as he fell and hit his head on the concrete. Yoda told everybody to hold. Caleb tried to tell him that he is fine as he was holding the back of his head. Blood was coming out. Yoda immediately noticed. But for Caleb, it was nothing. "It is essential that he goes to the infirmary," said Yoda. With no other choice, Caleb said, "Yes, Master," and proceeded for the infirmary. He was disappointed that he will miss the entire session as Yoda continued to instruct the other younglings. Caleb was on his way. He wasn't even bleeding anymore, but he reached the infirmary just in case. The medical droid asked him what it was, and Caleb informed him. "Well, obviously you broke the skin," said the medical droid, "but it has already clotted. It will heal on its own," as he told Caleb to stop whining, grow up, and get out. Well, he's going. As Caleb was slowly leaving, he turned his head and saw someone. A Jedi inside a Bacta tank, recovering. "Who is that?" said Caleb, as he was mesmerized, still looking at her. "Why do I feel like I know her?" "None of your business," said the medical droid. "Now go, and don't come back unless you're bleeding internally." The droid dismissed Caleb, but suddenly, shortly afterwards, the droid heard a knock. It was the Jedi knocking on the glass. Now everybody was gathered, Mace Windu, Yoda, and Obi-Wan. They indeed had expected a full recovery. "Physically, yes," said the droid. "I cannot speak for her mental state, but Dapa was now awakened. My mental state is fine," she said. "Nothing like spending 6 months on a coma for you to relax." Obi-Wan was just happy to see her awake and alive. But she must be tested. A full fitness assessment, physical, mental, and emotional, according to the premier Jedi Masters. The next morning, the initiate trials would begin. The Jedi were watching the students closely. All of them, including Caleb Doom, was showcasing their skills in lightsaber combat, in the Force, and in anything that was required of them. In fact, it was around this time that Caleb and the others would be chosen by a Jedi Master to become their Padawan. At the same time, Dapa was coming to her senses. She had regained both her physical attributes and in tune with the Force. The Council told her that she did well, but Dapa, however, could not deny her failure. She had failed her mission on a massive scale. Master Kenobi welcomed her back to the Council as he stood up and freed her chair. But what was most important right now was the 3 younglings that had passed their initiate trials. They in fact should observe them very closely. And that they did. Caleb in particular. As Jocasta Nu was explaining how Jedi Knights had chosen their Padawan for centuries, Caleb rose his hand. He said, "Why?" "Excuse me," said Jocasta. "Well, why is that the preferred method?" His curious nature was just too overwhelming. He wanted to know everything as a little child. As Windu looked on, Dapa Billaba was snickering, reminiscing reminiscent of how she was once a child and inquisitive. Later on, the Jedi Master took on a more intensive approach. She started tutoring the younglings, teaching them Form 3. Once that was done, they were now deflecting fire from the training droids. As eager as Caleb was, he deflected one of the blasters back at the droid, which ended up destroying him completely. By now, Balaba had definitely seen the future that this young child possesses as a Jedi Knight. From the moment Caleb saw Balaba, the Force connected them instantly. And while it took just a while, Balaba now notices Caleb as well, as the comic continues with them both intertwining their fates as master and apprentice eventually. We will get to that in future renditions. If you want me to continue this series, guys, please feel free to leave a comment down below and I will be glad to do so. Thank you so much for stopping by. This was the beginning of Kanan First Blood, and hopefully we will do more of this very, very soon. Have an awesome day, and may the Force be with you always.